Jeff Koenig, Property Prep, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, your #1 source for outsourced janitorial and maintenance services. You may ask what I'm doing between these two buildings. I don't know, but I do know that we have a new electric service here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about electrical and the upgrades that we did to this fire damaged building and some of the different electrical components that go into this type of build, and also some of the options that you can include in your multifamily property when it comes to electricity. Come on inside and we'll tell you more about it. We're here in a common hallway, and this building is actually mixed use. So there's a commercial component and a residential component. And right here you'll see this box above the door, and that's going to have your classic exit sign on it, and that's mandated by code. So we'll have that, and then we're going to take you down into the basement so we can look at a little bit more about how the utilities are split in this property, and then some of the other features of this unit. When we go down in the basement, there's a simple switch, and this switch will turn on an LED light that we installed. When we go down into the basement, you're going to see that there are motion activated switches that follow us throughout. This is common in warehouses, but we also are doing this in residential to save on electricity and to make the property light and safe for all of our tenants. Look at that. So we're down here at the meter set inside. We had a meter set outside that we showed you that was for the commercial portion of this building. This has a meter set for the individual units here. We have 3 units and a common. These are Eaton panels. The breakers are not in there yet, but code requires that we have arc fault breakers, which we will put a definition of right here, and they are all going to be labeled once they're installed. And this basement is accessible to the entire building, so that's why we have the breaker boxes down here. It's code that all of the breakers are accessible to the tenant and that they don't have to call you to if one flips off. So we have them all centrally located in the basement that everyone has access to. Additionally, down here, we'll have these transformers, and these transformers all go to doorbells in the units. And we have these bundles of coaxial cable by unit. And we run these inside of the walls so that when the cable guy comes, who gets paid by the run, and obviously is not the best troubleshooter or the highest quality craftsman, that he can just plug in down here without having to run cables on the outside of your building. So anytime you are building a building or doing a heavy remodel, we always recommend coaxial or cat cables inside of the walls so that you no longer have to deal with stuff running on the outside of your brand new building. I think that's it down here. Why don't we go up into a unit, and we're getting close to the finish, and show you some of our progress. Welcome to the finish in one of our units here at this fire rehab project. This unit went all the way down to the studs, and as we walk in, there'll be a door here, and there'll be a stackable washer and dryer here. We've elected to use gas here, but we still do need a standard outlet here to power the washing machine. So if we go into the unit, we'll tell you a little bit more as we get into the kitchen. We're in the kitchen, and there are a few opportunities for electrical and the discussion around electrical. Obviously, we have our refrigerator that goes here, and we're gonna put in the cabinets to give it a recessed look and put an outlet behind there so that it's easily accessible. But the real question comes in when you're talking about your range. Some buildings that we work in that are high rises don't allow by code, because they either don't have a sprinkler or some other code reason, they don't allow for gas ranges, and that's really a luxury. So we try to include gas ranges whenever we can. In this building, we have all new gas pipe, and this is a wonderful opportunity to have a gas range. We do still have to have an outlet behind there at a regular 110 voltage so that we can power the clock and the automatic igniters, but the rest of the unit is gas. Over the range, you have a space for a microwave, and that's going to also have an extractor fan in it. And the way we do that is there will be an outlet up in the top cabinet, the upper cabinet, and we will bring the cord from that microwave up into that upper cabinet so that it can be serviced or disconnected at a later date. When we look at the sink and dishwasher area, the dishwasher will be here and the sink will be here. We have an outlet in the cabinet. We have it labeled as dishwasher and garbage disposal. The garbage disposal will use what's called an air switch, and this means the outlet is hot all the time, and the pressure from using this switch actuates the disposal. The dishwasher will need electricity to it too, and this outlet will act as a disconnect for it. We have inside of the cabinet on the island a rough-in for electrical. There'll be an outlet that will be cut into the side for code, which is a requirement, and it's also code that every 4 feet along the countertop we have an outlet. And these, since they're near a water source, are GFCI protected. So you'll see this little test and reset button that protect all of these outlets, and these little stickers that signify that these are covered. If we want to zoom in close on one of these outlets, these standard outlets, they have little plastic pieces that cover the inputs into the outlet. And these are called TR, or tamper resistant. And if you go and look at these stop little kids from poking a fork into it like all little kids do at some point and getting shocked and riding the lightning. So if you don't want to ride the lightning and require by code tamper resistant outlets, they don't work as well. I have an older home and I'm lucky to not have code required tamper resistant outlets in mine. I prefer them, but if I had kids, this is definitely the option. You don't need those little baby safe things if you have these tamper resistant outlets and they're working properly. So if you see all these wires hanging down from the ceiling, you'll say, Jeff, why you got all these wires hanging down from the ceiling? And I'd say, these are can lights. So traditionally there would be a housing in the ceiling, and those are the old days. Now we just have these little pucks that are powered, and anytime you see this loop, that means that they're all gonna be in series. So these will all be connected and they'll be on a dimmer. This particular client went a little bit overboard on the lights, in my opinion. There may be a few too many, but they're gonna be on a dimmer, and hopefully it'll be incredibly well lit. So these will all be can lights. Right here we have a hardwired smoke detector, and these smoke detectors interface with all of the other smoke detectors in the building. And it's really important by code to have this, but it's also a luxury because many of our buildings are older and have strictly battery operated. These are superior, lets everyone know that there's a fire. On the low voltage side, we have thermostats that are connected. That the painters are not just finishing up. And it shows that it is a balmy 85 degrees in here today. And those are also done on the rough, and those are connected to the HVAC system that are upstairs. And that HVAC system is also wired into each of the units individually. And sometimes in a big property, you can have individual heating and cooling, which we recommend and we separated during the construction of this project. But prior to this, it had a central boiler that did all of the units. And during this project, it was a real value add to be able to separate it so that the tenant is responsible now for the bill instead of the property owner, which is our client. This is an example of the can lights and how thin they are now. So this driver is where the connection for the electrical is made. And then these two little tabs are holding this very thin puck up into the ceiling. And this is your modern can light. So really a big departure from the huge bulbs that we grew up with as kids. These are adjustable for color temperature. So you can change the color temperature. We always recommend a soft white. And we'll put the Kelvin measurement, that's always in Kelvin, up on the screen. And these are adjustable for that, and as well as these are dimmable. So these are great, and they can just be connected and disconnected using this low voltage connector right here, which I'm not an electrician, but they just come in and out. We're in a bathroom, really dark because the light's not installed yet, but we always recommend an over the vanity light, which is what this box is for. The switch on the opposite side of the door will open this way. And then the GFI, which you'll use for shaving. God forbid you were to drop an electrical appliance such as a hair straightener or a electric shaver into the water, this should trip itself and stop you from killing yourself. Now that we've got the basics on the inside of the property, let's go check out the outside so we can show you a little bit more about perimeter lighting and how the electrical service comes into the building. We're out here at the outside of the building, and this exterior is not the best, but it was not in the budget to do anything other than repairs, which we'll do as well as painting it. But we do want to notice that we ran new lighting here and around the entire perimeter. And this lighting right here is for security. And this will shine down on the parking areas, and the other one will shine down on the door. And it's important to have perimeter lighting to make sure that your tenants feel safe and secure. And it's on at a certain, it's dusk to dawn. So when it becomes a certain light out, it will turn itself on. And then when it senses motion, it goes to a higher lumen output than it does originally. So it's really nice to have a generalized light. And then if something suspicious happens, it really goes to a full-on flood, to its full high capacity. Here's these ugly wires I was talking about earlier in the basement, and this is where all this crap comes into the building, and we're going to be able to remove all of this when we do the painting of the property and patch all of these holes for the years of abuse that the Spectrum and AT&T guys did to this property. And they'll be able to run one line into the basement from the outside, one connection, and not have any of these horizontal cables on the building that look like crap. If we look at the neighbor's building, we can do some of the anatomy of an electrical service. So when you look at the head right here, this is called the mast, and this is where your legs come in from the pole, and the power then runs down this pipe to the meter, and this is where the meter socket is right here. This is how the electric company reads how much electricity you've used. And this is where the wires come in, and someone hasn't stolen these yet, which is miraculous because they've stolen everything else. But this is how a service comes in. This is exceedingly dangerous, especially at this size when it's live, but luckily this is disconnected so it can be touched. Right here is what's called an AC disconnect. This allows you to work on the air conditioner safely. This unfortunately was a victim of the fire, and there is no power going to this anymore. So we'll have to have this hooked back up and have these wires rerun and a new AC unit installed. We're here on the commercial side of this project, and they have their own service and they have their own laundry tray. And what we did during this portion of the job to make this totally separate, they used to have a gas-powered water heater, And the advantage to this is we now came in with an electric water heater that's what's called a point of use water heater, and we'll wire this up so that it's completely on their panel and there's no common usage, and they don't have to use a huge water heater to just wash their hands. Thanks for following along with us. That was a quick view of what an electrical system looks like in a mixed-use project that we fully rehabbed. We're gonna have a ton of content for you, totally stripping stuff down to the studs, and we're gonna be able to show you this project from start to finish. But we do wanna let you know that we do have everything from electrical repairs all the way to full rewires of projects, both residential, commercial, and industrial. We would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, hit the bell notification to get notified when we drop a new video every Friday morning. And we also want to thank everyone who's come along for this ride and left a comment down below. We're searching for content ideas. We've done a lot of tool videos. We've done some videos like this and we've done some talking head videos. And we're trying to find a balance of showing off our business as well as keeping you engaged with the stuff that you really love and why you subscribe. So leave a comment down below and let us know what you want to see from us going forward. Thanks a lot, and it's really meaningful for every one of you that have subscribed. We really appreciate it.